Hello, Green Iowa followers, subscribers, anybody who likes to watch us. My name is Jordan, and today I will be giving you a step-by-step guide with pictures on how to make a bat box or bat hotel or bat house, whichever you'd like to call it. So you might be asking yourself, why should I put a bat box in my backyard, and why should I go through the trouble of making one? Well, some of the benefits of bat boxes are they reduce residents in people's houses by giving them somewhere else to live. So if you have a bat problem in your attic or a bat problem in a different part of your house, a bat box can help take care of that. Bats are great insecticides, meaning that they eat mosquitoes, moths, beetles, and multiple other insects that may become problems. Bat boxes are a great place for bats to raise young so their population grows. Females only produce one pup a year, so they can be prone to not making it to adulthood, so a bat box increases that likelihood. Bat boxes help fight white nose syndrome, which is a growing problem in the Midwest and the rest of the United States. And the greater number of bats means the less pesticides needed, and the less pesticides needed is less pesticides going into our waterways and our streets and affecting our children. Bat boxes also help fight habitat loss. As with multiple other species around the world, bats are losing their habitat. Here's a list of materials that we bought and that you will need to use to make your bat box. 1 1-inch by 8-inch by 4-foot standard pine board. 4 1-inch by 6-inch by 8-foot standard pine boards. And 2 1-inch by 2-inch by 8-foot standard pine boards. We decided on pine lumber because of a couple of factors. Number one, you're not supposed to use non-treated lumber when you're building a bat box because the chemicals in the treated lumber can be harmful to bats and cause injury or death. Number two, you're supposed to use naturally resistant woods like pine, cedar, or oak that can withstand weather conditions. We went with pine because of those three options, it was the cheapest. Some of the tools you will need to construct your bat box will be 2 drills. I recommend using 2 because I use one for pre-drilling the holes and one for physically drilling the screws in. This is a much faster process as you don't have to be switching out your drill bits for each task you want to do. You'll need a caulk gun like I mentioned before, tape measure, a pencil, a brush cutter knife or something with a serrated edge to score the wood with, a speed square, a miter saw or a chop saw, same thing, and a paintbrush or a paint roller. When designing our bat box, I visited several websites that claim to be experts on building bat boxes. They know more than me, so I based my design off of theirs. The roost spaces, which are the locations in your bat box that the bats will climb into and hold on to while they sleep and while they hang out in the bat box. They need to be at least 20 inches tall and 14 inches wide, and bigger is recommended if expecting larger colonies. Roost partitions, so the gaps in between each layer of your bat box need to be at least 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch deep in order to fit your bats. That varies by species, but these numbers are good for Iowa species, which include brown bats, eastern red bats, and Indiana bats. You need a 3-inch to 6-inch landing zone near the bottom of your bat box in order for the bats to cling to when they first land on the bat box. This helps them climb into it to begin with. We made our bat box 18 inches wide by 24 inches tall in order to have extra room for bigger colonies should one decide to move in. Finally, you will need a larger board used for the roof that hangs over on the left, right, and front sides to decrease rain from running down the sides to prevent deterioration. Now that I've gone over the specifications, the materials used, the tools needed, and why to build a bat box, we will begin with the step-by-step process of building your bat box. Start out by taking your 1-inch by 6-inch by 8-foot lumber and cutting those down to 4 18-inch pieces and putting them on the table. This will end up being the back of your bat box. Lay them out so that they are flush with each other in a horizontal fashion. Next, cut 2 22-inch pieces from your 1x2 lumber. From now on, we will call those spacers, and we will call the first 4 boards that we made planks. Lay out those 2 spacers along the vertical edges of the planks, and keeping the boards flush with the edges, drill holes and then screw through those holes, 2 on each side of each of the 4 planks, so you'll need 16 total screws. Make sure there are no gaps in between the 1x6s. Once you've completed that, the back of your bat box is now solidly screwed together. Take your serrated knife or whatever blade you are using and score the wood facing up up, down, left, right, etc. until there are enough footholds for your future bats to hang on to. I recommend leaving no more than 1 square inch of space anywhere blank. Make sure when scoring that you only score the side facing up, as the other side is the back of the bat box and does not need to be scored. Next, repeat step 1, but this time only cutting 3 18-inch planks and put those on the top of the 2 spacers that I mentioned before. Before attaching these, make sure that you score all 3 planks on both sides this time, since both sides are going to be on the interior of your bat house and both sides will be used to climb onto by bats. Once you have finished scoring the 3 planks, arrange them going from the top of your bat box, leaving no gaps in between, and attach them similarly to you did the first time by putting 2 screws through each board into the bottom spacer. If you were planning on only making a 1 partitioned bat box, congrats, you've already finished. But with our design, we made 4 partitions to accommodate larger colonies, which we would recommend you doing as well. Make sure after those 3 have been attached that there is still 1 plank from the first level of planks that you made exposed, because that will end up being your landing plate for bats. Next step, cut 2 more spacers, but this time only cut them to 16.5 inches, which is the same width as 3 of your planks stacked together. Attach the 16.5 inch spacers to the 3 planks that you had just attached, just like you did last time. Once the second set of spacers is attached, cut 3 more 18-inch planks and attach those in a similar fashion, but make sure you score them as well, because they will also be on the inside. Repeat this process of adding spacers and then planks until you get the desired number of partitions that you want when you first designed your bat box. Once you get to the final layer of planks that you wish to build, which on our design was the 5th row, make sure you only score one side of that board, because the other side will be the outside of the bat box that does not need to be scored. Now that you've constructed all of the partitions that you wish to construct for your bat box, we will start on the finishing touches. Take your remaining 1x6 inch lumber and cut in 2 pieces that are about 16.5 inches long. You may want to measure your own bat box in case it's not the exact same as ours. These 2 pieces will end up being your side pieces to give it a more finished look. So when measuring, you'll want to go from the top of your bat box to the bottom of your bat box. Not all the way to the bottom of the landing zone, just to the bottom of the front part. Next, attach these boards to the sides, making sure that the top and bottoms are flush with the top and bottom of your bat box. You don't need to score this wood, as it is just a finishing board that is on the side and the bats will not need to crawl on it. When attaching those boards to the side, we use 6 screws, 2 on the top, 2 in the middle, and 2 on the bottom for each board to make sure they are extra secure. Next, we are going to take our 1-inch by 8-inch board and cut a piece that is 21.5 inches long. We found that number by measuring the entire width of the bat box, which is about 18.5 inches, and adding 2 inches so there is an inch of overhang on both the left and the right side. We are using the 8-inch wide board because this will end up being the roof piece, so we need the overhang on the front to prevent rain from running down the sides. Attach the roof piece, without scoring it, to the top of your bat box in a similar fashion that you did for the side pieces, making sure that you have enough screws in it to securely fasten it to the rest of your bat box. After completing this step, congratulations, you have fully constructed your bat box. The next step is to add ventilation holes into the front of your bat box. Go down to the 3rd board from the top and take a 1/2 inch spade bit and add holes about 1 inch apart from the bottom left to the bottom right. These ventilation holes provide intended ventilation to regulate the temperature of the box during the summer, keeping the bats from overheating. The hard parts are now over. We'll move on to the finishing touches that include caulking and painting the bat box. The next step is to fill in all the gaps that could provide unwanted ventilation to your bat box that can freeze bats over the winter or make them overheat during the summer. Take your caulk and your caulk gun and fill in any gaps that you see on your box, especially focusing on the edges along the side and the top where the planks meet the side planks and the roof. Fill in any holes that may have been in your wood during manufacturing, and fill in the gaps in between the planks on the front and the back of the box as well. All this will help prevent any unwanted ventilation. Once your caulk is dried, in which you may need to check your bottle to see drying times for specific brands, you can begin painting the bat box with your exterior quality paint. Bat box experts recommend using earthy colors, which vary depending on the region that you live in, but seeing as we are in the Midwest, we went with a nutmeg brown color, so it would blend in with our local forests. The reason it needs to blend in is so it does not stand out more to predators. Using paintbrushes, paint rollers, or whatever you prefer, make sure the box gets full coverage of this first layer of paint. You may end up needing to do multiple layers of this paint in order for your bat box to get full coverage and a full seal. Once your paint is dried, you can go and attach your T-brackets with the screws provided, one on the top and one on the bottom, as center as you can, especially if you're hanging it on a tree. If you want to give your bat box that finishing touch, now is the time to add on your logo or a picture of a bat or whatever you would like to put on the front of your bat box, using your other color of paint. After that final coat of paint is dry, congratulations, you have finished your bat box and are ready to hang it. When it comes to hanging your bat box, there are multiple factors that you're going to want to consider. Number one is what you will be attaching the bat box to. We recommend securing it to a tree, the side of a building, or even your own wood pole. Earlier, you heard me mention the process of scoring the wood. We went with scoring the wood instead of adding plastic mesh because it is a surefire way that no bats will be harmed. If you add plastic mesh and it's not perfectly attached, bats can get stuck on the wrong side of it in between it and the wood and not be able to get out and eventually die. Even if you do perfectly attach it, the staples used to attach the mesh could also deteriorate over time and come out and the mesh could come loose. Your bat box should also be placed near but not shaded by trees. Upon emerging each night, bats are vulnerable to predation and will want to follow landscape features such as tree lines and forest edges to find safe travel routes. These are ideal places to provide bat boxes. Make sure that the flight paths to the landing zone are also not blocked or impeded. Bat boxes should not be placed in a shaded location or located over bright or shiny surfaces. Make sure you're careful around shiny surfaces which may reflect light into the roost. Bat boxes should not be located near burn barrels or air vents, and avoid locations where smoke may be present or where strong blasts of air may be occasionally present, such as near industrial air conditioners. Bat boxes should not be placed where they can be exposed to shock or vandalism. Bats will abandon a bat house if vandals shake or disturb the post repeatedly. Bat boxes should not be placed in brightly lit areas such as under or near dusk to dawn light. They should not be placed in exposed or windswept areas or located directly over roads where they may be vulnerable to traffic. Finally, bat boxes should not be placed in or over high, thorny vegetation or in places where vegetation is allowed to grow up inside the bat house. Alright, well, we've reached the end of the video. You now have a fully constructed bat box if you followed along, or at least you know how to. If you followed along and built your own bat box, we would love to see it. So tag us on Facebook for the Green Iowa AmeriCorps Land and Water Stewards page, or even just email us at lwsamericorps@gmail.com. If you like this video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Green Iowa AmeriCorps Official, or like our page on Facebook, Green Iowa AmeriCorps Land and Water Stewards. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.